What's going on, guys? This is Ken here once again, and in this video I wanted to share with you guys my experience and my review for the AudioQuest Dragonfly. This is actually my first ever DAC or digital to analog converter, and it's kind of the first tool that ever actually put me into the world of, I guess you could say, the world of audiophilia, if that's even weird. That kind of sounds weird saying that. But basically, for those of you who don't know, a DAC or digital to analog converter is basically a tool that you use to plug up to a computer or a mobile phone or a tablet, and it overwrites the sound card or sound processor in those devices with a much more premium one. In the case of the Dragonfly, it uses what's called an asynchronous transfer, which basically translates to taking the zeros and ones that make up an audio file and transfers it to your speakers or your headphones without any kind of interference or jitter, as many would say. Now, in theory, this is supposed to actually give you a more premium sounding audio experience, and even though I kind of doubted it at first, after listening to it, it actually does sound a lot better. Not really sure what type of terminology to use to describe the kind of audio, but it had a much more broader open sound space. I guess the right term for that would be more airy or just more open. And the different sound effects and the details in the backgrounds were just a little bit more noticeable. And you know, after a while of using it and listening to it, it actually was a lot better to me, and I couldn't really go back to listening to the regular sound or regular cable plug-in. It just sounded a little too compressed. My first time really noticing this was whenever I played the Destiny Island theme from Kingdom Hearts 2 or 1.5 HD remix. I've listened to it before several times, just kind of a nice little upbeat song. But when I listened to the same exact file using the Dragonfly and my Sennheiser HD 280s, I was able to pick up more details, and I could hear little things like a little guitar strumming in the background. I know that sounds really ridiculous, but I was able to pick up little details like that, and that was actually pretty smooth. And going beyond music, it actually made listening or watching movies a lot better. I had a much more open sound space. It actually sounded like I was in a theater. In many cases, I didn't even feel like I had headphones on, which was really neat. So that's pretty cool. So do I believe in the digital to analog converter? Absolutely. Now there's a lot of myths and a lot of BS in the audiophile community, and I'm not really going to consider myself a hardcore audiophile. I'm not the one to get into like cables and things like that, but I will say that a digital to analog converter, especially the Dragonfly, is a neat one to have. This thing is about the size of a USB thumb drive. It's extremely portable. You can just throw it into your bag and you can carry it with you. If you have like a MacBook Air or a Mac Mini, you want to just plug it up somewhere and listen to some premium audio, just plug this guy in and you are good to go. It is just really nice. I've seen other digital analog converters online, and even some headphone amps that are just a little bit larger, and some of them that were considered to be portable were just kind of thick. Considering the size of the Dragonfly, it is extremely impressive what this little thing can do. So would I recommend one of these? Absolutely, 110%. So how does this thing work? How do you set this up? Well, it's actually relatively simple. Just like, you know, just like the form factor suggests, you just plug it right into your USB port in your computer. There's a couple things you have to do. You would go into your audio settings on your Mac or PC and just kind of configure them to actually be able to run your audio to come out the Dragonfly as opposed to your built-in sound card. Now, when you go into your audio MIDI settings, you can actually go from 44 Hertz all the way up to 96 Hertz. Now, I'm not going to pretend that like I know what this is all about. I mean, I'm still sort of like a common audio enthusiast, but what this basically translates to is if you have any audio files encoded at this rate, the Dragonfly is going to be able to handle them and actually play that back to you. I haven't really noticed a tremendous difference, but I think it's kind of cool that depending on which frequency you choose, you can actually see a color change in the Dragonfly, which is kind of neat. Now, where the Dragonfly really shines is in the actual audio files that you feed through it. So you can just use your basic MP3 files or your Pandora or Spotify. Those files will actually sound a lot better than using your traditional speaker or your traditional sound card. But if you start feeding uncompressed or low compressed audio files like lossless via Tidal or even just some FLAC files, that's when we really start to notice a bigger difference there. So if you're easily moved by music and details in the sound, I would proceed with caution because Tidal with lossless can get a little costly at $20 a month, or even just getting FLAC files or buying CDs and just ripping it as uncompressed as possible. But if you're an enthusiast and you're into this, this is actually worth every penny. And so by now you're probably wondering if I'm going to be giving you guys a demo. it's kind of hard to tell, especially if you're on YouTube, but I will try my absolute best. I will pair up a high quality microphone to my Bose Companion 2s, and I'll keep the volume at the exact same level. So without further ado, here it is. Alright, so at first you couldn't really tell the difference at the beginning of the song, but as it started to get towards the center and near the end of the song, you could kind of tell it was a little bit more open sounding. It's really hard to make out that much of a difference. When you're in person, it makes a tremendous difference. I don't usually use the Bose Companion 2s to listen with the Dragonfly. I generally just use my Sennheiser HD 280s, which the combination of the two is just spectacular. But again, you just have to hear it for yourself. Best Buy actually sells the Dragonfly for about $150. It's the 1.2 version, which is the most current version. I say, as a newbie audio enthusiast, I'd say it's well worth it. Well guys, thank you for watching this video. If you guys have any questions or comments, once again, just leave them down in the boxes below. And I will see you guys in the next video.